So it's my very great pleasure to introduce you to Maria Letizia Conforto, architect, and as you have seen in the program, with incredible experience, knowledge, education. And I actually asked people to put 300 words for the CV, and I was trying to cut to fit that. But then I realized this is so good because to see this variety of work and these places where it has work, I think could be very inspiring for especially young people. So I decided to keep it as a part of this purpose, which is to make more visible the work and the places that she had nationally and internationally. So it's a pleasure to have her here. Coming from Rome, she has to leave early, so we should try to make the most of talking with Letizia. Grazie tanto.
Thank you. I would like, I have a communication written in English, but something in Italian too. So just be patient. Qual è il tasto? So the Ancient City provided, questo però non lo voglio. Vabbè. The Ancient City provided to the modern city the form and even the material of construction. It organized and gave form to a territorial settlement at a metropolitan scale on which the contemporary city still stands. So is the history of Rome. The artifact and the archaeological monument which through the city constitute a resource of symbolic imaginary, and as well as an operative part of the contemporary city. La città antica è alla base della città moderna, e specialmente nel caso di Roma. You can see on the left the model of the Rome, the 2nd century after Christ, and the opposite side, the Rome as it is today. The arrow shows the place where the Crypta Balbi is. The Crypta Balbi was represented by Giuliano da Saccago in a first slide. Qual è questa? Vabbè, la Crypta Balbi, è così. Rimaniamo all'antica.
Ora, se dai un colpo così, sembra che passa, ma...
Dove l'hai dato il colpo?
No, adesso funziona, era bloccato.
So, the medieval place of the Crypta is a medieval word to represent the building along the road through the ancient Campo Marcis and the center of Rome. In Renaissance times, the road leading to the capital was called as Via delle Apoteche Obscure because of the characteristics of the place, and afterward was Via delle Botteghe Oscure. Only in 1956, the emerging shape of the circular form of the ancient monument was recognized as the fragment of the Urma Urbis, the marble mark of Rome carved in the time of Septimius Severus as part of the Teatro Balbi, and since then it was called Crypta Balbi. Avanti. Here are the marble of the Crypta Balbi, and excavation shows the Cedra which was represented in the che si fa con questo? No, a reconstruction of the crypt of the theater is on the left. The crypt is really only part of the Balbo's intervention, and it shows a large porch with an open space. Under the next block was a theater, but the buildings there were maintained, and the block of the Crypta was demolished in the 50s, in 40s of the last century. So the part we know is only the open part. The theater is underneath the next block. On the right, you see the proposal of here is the proposal of the work we have been doing in 40 years, 30 years, from the 80s of the last century up to the 11th, the present time. In the ancient camp of Museo, the archaeological area of the Crypta Balbi is an integral part of the Central Archaeological Park that even today forms the structure of many public space in Rome. The new archaeological museum of the Crypta Balbi can accommodate with historic layers and buildings, both ancient and post-ancient, an information and research center relating to conservation of the historical city, and many students and many architects and archaeological have been working there during the time we have been working. The passion work of conservation of the complexity of the site can then transform historical and archaeological lineage as a living architectural archive of the contemporary city, which city by the knowledge of the morphology of the place, by the understanding of the history process of construction, and by careful consideration of research and findings. Usi medievali della cripta sono rappresentati nelle foto con una calcara dell'epoca medievale e un bagno caldo che apparteneva al convento che poi è stato demolito e ricostruito in un altro modo. The wall you see here is a first restoration of the Crypta Balbi, of the theater Balbi, which was built 1 century before Christ, and is a restoration of the 2nd century after Christ. While we were digging the place, was important to restore and preserve what was coming off. As in the exedra, the walls made in tuffo and the columns on pillars. Here are the some ways behind the exedra, from ways coming to the open place. Of course, part of this building, or this digging was excavation were made underground because there are houses on top. Here we are trying to have dated the different construction. In yellow is the archaeological plan of the site of the place. In red are the first intervention in the medieval age. Blue was the transformation of this extension in Renaissance time, and green is what was remade for in 18th century by Guidetti. La pianta rappresenta in giallo la struttura antica, in rosso la ristrutturazione medievale che a sua volta è stata trasformata nella prima Rinascenza in blu con l'impostazione del convento di Santa Caterina dei Funari, e in bianco, in verde è la chiesa rifatta, ricostruita da Guidetti alla fine del Settecento. We use also to represent the place models and not only drawings. So we are making now drawings taken from the first plan I show you, and the model of the ancient portico of in front of the crypta, belonging to the temple Neptuni. The columns you see are not of the crypta. The wall of the crypta is presented by the here is the edge of the crypta, and the part is under the road delle Botteghe Oscure. Not all the place belongs to the state. All the work we have been doing were on the responsibility of the Italian state and on financed by the Italian state. But not all the building belong to the first building is a private building and was respected and never demolished. The widening of the road via delle Botteghe Oscure up some new archaeological monument. The Temple Neptuni that I show in the model, Piazza Argentina, where the ancient temple of Rome were made of the before cast, and Crypta Balbi, the theater is under Palazzo Caetani. The column of the temple. Some studies on the edge of the crypta, how it has been reused in the Middle Ages, and how is now the yellow is was present in white what is now. Vado indietro così. A section along Via delle Botteghe Oscure with all the houses were built on the porch, and you see the underground and the first is the plan of Rome now is now at this level and the level underground. Some example of how the medieval houses were built and renewed in Renaissance times. In blue is the wall of the crypta. The crypta is here, the porch is here. A model and a reconnection of what was inside a single house, the underground, the level of the street, the first door, the second door. This is underground. A representation of Via Caetani, this is Via delle Botteghe Oscure, Via Caetani, with the last solution before demolishing, with the church of Videtto and what was left of the convent of Santa Caterina dei Funari, and the little the medieval house were included in the extension of the convent. And is a model of the situation. The chapel, first chapel of the place, and then the convent of Santa Caterina. In back is the porch of the belonging to the theater. But was inside the walls. The columns and the capital of the stage and the decoration of the chapel. It was a church built by Videtti in the 17th century. Going around the corner, Via dei Delfini was all built in medieval age, but only using the same material, demolishing the porch of the Balbi theater, which is here, and including and renewing the houses. All the porch was here open until the sacked Emperor the first, Carlo the First, in 1527, and then became a more closed place. Here is the place as it is today. How some example of how walls were built using the Roman wall, new layers and different layers. Inside, the houses had very good finishing, roof, with beaten roof with painted and bells. The block was in the 19th century, just after the last representation of the situation, with open space inside and the possibility to go through the buildings and through alleys. This is the last documentation before Rome became the capital of Italy and renewed the place, renewed the of the archaeological area in the back of the capital, and here's the Via delle Botteghe Oscure, where we go back now with the construction of the big monument. This is Piazza Venezia, Via delle Botteghe Oscure, and the Crypta is here. The place was demolished in the 40s, and the project to replace, this is the private property, and this was the public property. This was the situation when we started working here. Excavation gave up some news, and the transformation of the chapel in the ruins of the rest of the convent. The complex reciprocal influence between the analytical phase of the archaeological research and the synthesis of the project have been represented not only by drawings, but also by models and written text about the reasons of the decision and the description of the executive process, which can also be used for future works and maintenance. The ancient and post-ancient structures were restored using homogeneous materials with a less invasive intervention. The partially damaged buildings have been integrated with flexible methods, using modern materials in order to guarantee static connection or to place modern functions inadequate to historical structure. Modern and traditional material have been thus composed in the metamorphosis of new forms. L'uso che si è fatto progettando è stato di razionalizzare e comunque partendo dai ritrovamenti e dalle analisi archeologiche, cercando di fare una sintesi per la conservazione dei fabbricati. E la proposta è stata di non alterare né fare ulteriori demolizioni, se non delle estrusioni posticce, ma col minimo dell'intervento riparare con la stessa tecnologia tutto ciò che si potesse riparare. Questo per la parte conservata. La parte invece demolita è stata reintegrata con materiali moderni, che sono stati anche utili per poter adeguare alle esigenze moderne l'intero complesso. Repair damaged walls and structures. You see the situation. Some of the buildings were not even able to stand, and repairing with the same materials. Substitution of damaged wooden parts with new parts, working with a skilled person. The new part was dedicated to a museum. This is the first part where we start working. The entrance on Via Botteghe Oscure and some passages to be able the people to go to upper places where only the staircase have been demolished, were under demolition. This part was completely demolished. The entrance via the Botteghe Oscure, via the museum, the idea of closing and with efficient possibilities, and the idea of resolve all the way out. The part of the museum is this one, first part. Of course, the entrance hall and the passages in front of Via Botteghe Oscure. The first place, the first floor, the second floor. We are here now, and this part was, the roof was still in place, and it was restored without moving. But this part was completely reconstructed. The new roof and the reconstruction, and the way to upper side. Where the walls were in good condition, they had been restored with the same technology, original technology. The walls, the medieval walls, and the new services were with double walls on, or using the new furniture in order not to damage the old walls. Visiting the underground, under the houses. Here this is a street level, people walking here. And restoring what we could find, what emerged from the excavation. The pillar was demolished and all the stone parts were taken off. And we are inside the porch of the Crypta now, and was restored and remounted in this way. This was an open place and it was covered with a reversible structure. The second problem was the restoring the skyline. This is a skyline of Via Botteghe Scure, where all what was replaced of the old medieval house, which were all inside a facade, which was rebuilt and restored in the 18th century. Here is the entrance. And here is the work on the facade, restoring, as I said, repairing what was possible to repair, reusing the same techniques with stones to finishing. And the same problem was used in Via Caetani, where this part was missing, and was rebuilt the facade and the block, as you can see. But on back, the situation is this one. It was before we rebuilt the front block and this part, which was preserved, but the porch was all gone. And in the project was decided to repeat the same form and to rebuild this part of the porch. Inside, this place, which is completely new, was dedicated to a new conference halls for the museum use. But this part has been built right now, and this was a project. Let's see what happens, because I haven't seen anything doing in 15 years. The model, the plan of Nolli, come vado indietro così? this is a representation of Rome in the 18th century by Nolli, which represent a way to use how the ancient city used the place, with open spaces which were possible to visit across the block. This was an idea to repeat in the project the same scheme, and the project respect this way, and so we reopened in the project, because this part has been touched right now, and to have the possibility to approach the archaeological site, which is mostly underground and under houses, and rebuilding the top of the houses, which don't have any roof anymore, with a continuous working place. The large open space of the ancient portico will go back to its ancient function as a center of architectural complex. It will be open toward the city through the path of medieval alleys and gardens, as in the plan of Gian Battista Nolli in 1748. From street level, and the internal space will be articulated down below towards the archaeological area, or upstairs toward the terraces that conclude the volumes left unconcluded by the dynamical composing ancient and modern architecture from continuously varying points of view. Il piano del Nolli in qualche modo ha confortato l'ipotesi di rendere di nuovo trasparente questa parte non costruita, di ripristinare tutti i volumi possibili con composizioni moderne e rendere vivibile e attraversabile sia a livello del piano urbano, in modo da poter percorrere sia la parte antica al di sotto del piano urbano, sia percorrere i piani più alti che consentono una vista di Roma dall'alto. This is the part of the project which is should have a continuity on work, and the conclusion of the place with recalls the image of Sagallo. Thank you.
Oh, I cannot see, but really masterful. What you have to go and see if you haven't, because it's really, you know, when I can, I take my students there, because I think it's the best lecture or thing you can do, just take them around. And we were with her, so it was completely luxurious. And I will say the word complexity, you know, what a plan, what a building. And then you find this ruin, this leftover things, and you make it architecture, because we, you know, I always tell the students, look, that, you know, at the end there has to be a good piece of architecture, that's why we are keeping. But in her case, I think you make it a better place, and it's what good intervention does.
Well, many people have been working on this place, and most, no, va bene. Ah.
Perché ti vedono. Ah, no.
Che devo fare?
Perché se ti metti in piedi, aspetta, mettiti in piedi lì.
Vabbè, comunque. Scusate, non sono un abile.
Aspetta, no, adesso.
Allora,
Così ti vede la gente.
hanno lavorato a questo progetto moltissime persone, sia specialisti sia studenti. hanno lavorato allo scavo studenti di archeologia e molti studenti di architettura che hanno seguito i corsi hanno proposto delle soluzioni. Naturalmente la soluzione è stata, la responsabilità della soluzione è stata quella della sovrintendenza archeologica, che ha progettato, diciamo, ha curato sia la scientificità dello scavo sia la progettazione. Shall I repeat in English? Many people, the work is of course the result of a long collaboration with engineers, architects of other administration, but the responsibility of the scientific research of archaeology and the solution of the architecture are of state, of the public property.
Question, but I think the drawings, I think again for our decade, I think drawing had to feature prominently because the drawings are, and these are hand drawings. Right?
But drawing, well, there are many kinds of drawings. Archaeological drawings have to be interpreted because they never give dimension to walls, but they can give you the connection of building materials and date the different solutions. That was very important to understand how to manage everything. And technical drawings may be very useful, but they're not so useful when you have to put work some skilled people. They can understand the general organization of a building, but not the way to the surface, the plaster. Each one needs a new skill person. So
complexity. That's the word for this project, because it's also the capacity of synthesis. And
that's why I work also on some written communication in order to have people hear the work when they were going to do it, and maybe useful, I hope, if they want to continue this work.
So you left all the recording?
Yes, I left all the documentation of each stage.
Because that's very important.
But
and also the analytical drawings, because one of my problems we have these days, the 3D scan, you put it there and you have the whole recording in 5 minutes.
Yes, but when you have to translate the record into something to do,
exactly.
Yeah, something
we cannot access to these models. That's the problem. They're just models that are asking that are model, but you cannot interact with them, and we cannot do these analytical drawings that we need.
And also communication is very difficult because you try to. Most of the archaeologists don't read the.
There's some in the room.
No, I'm not. Don't read don't read the drawing and can imagine what is going to come out.
You mean the architectural drawing?
The architectural drawing. So it's sort of two different sciences, and that's why we use models. because what do you want to do? I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. It's, that's why we have this also. Archaeology, that was exactly
well, I
the
know
reason,
because
yeah.
I think the project was not possible without having a very strong and long architectural knowledge of this, because I will be able to understand what was a Roman first century before Christ, 2 centuries after Christ, and maybe I will even be able to understand that was the Crypta Balbi from the stone.
Yeah, because maybe some people is not aware of the historic antagonism between archaeologists
Also,
and
of course,
architects.
no, I don't think it is one very important to cooperate.
Yeah, but it's different. We started different, so it's 2 parallel worlds that meet in places like this, and you have to find the means to communicate. Yeah.
Yes, and I found this way, but maybe many other ways. And also, I want to say that probably the digital reconstruction that we didn't use because it was this work started last century, and maybe useful to understand, but not in the way I have known it.
We have a project. We should do it, so we can go there and see how much we could actually do. That would be a nice project to have, compared with what you have.
And probably even can be used, help not to remodel a thing, but to confront many different solutions without constructing them.
Exactly, yeah, that's the value of it.
And that's what they usually do in archaeological places, just projecting the supposed image. But to go to this point, you have to be sure of what the original work was, what was the original project. And I think the historical studies in representation may be renewed in some way, because they are not all convincing from a structural point of view and from architecture. Sometimes I see they have, I don't think they do it now, put roof open space, because they didn't think there was an open space. And most of the building, they're probably quite different from what we are used to understand.
So much. Thank you so much.